to introduce gentleman Steve Matthews. He presently is president and owner of Wooster Hydrostatics. Previous positions have been president of the Mass Division of Wilbur, vice president of sales and marketing for Wooster Brush, vice president of field sales for Rubbermaid. He has graciously given his time to numerous organizations to further different causes.
Thanks for the introduction, Bill. And for decades, the retirement of the baby boomers has been an economic threat. It's no longer a threat, it's a reality, and it's happening now, hence the conversation of workforce development. Every month, more than 250,000 Americans turn 65. I want to thank the North Central Workforce Alliance for having me here. I admit I was a bit shocked when I heard you were being charged for $20 to attend. So in the event that you feel my remarks are substandard, don't blame me. I'm doing this for free. I own two companies that provide hydraulic remanufacturing of components, distribution of new components, and design and build for custom hydraulic systems. What does that mean? Three of my good customers were up on stage just a second ago. Artiflex is a very good customer of mine. Pride of the Hills, Science and Construction. We appreciate the business. To give you kind of a scope of what we do, our latest design project, large design project, was outfitting an aluminum plant, upgrading their hydraulic presses so they could manufacture the Ford F-150 body panels. You may have heard in the news that the body panels were converted from steel to aluminum. That was one project. We also support the U.S. Navy by remanufacturing hydraulic pumps that move material in the Triton submarine program. And within a niche business like this, we have to ensure that tribal knowledge is shared and transferred to a new generation of technicians. Reloading talent and transferring knowledge within organizations and businesses is a critical strategic initiative. And if it's not in your business, it should be. A great workforce does not magically appear. They're built through investment in training, time, and mentoring. Workforce development, of course, due to these issues, is the hottest topic among economic development professionals and businesses. The business community is clamoring for help, and organizations that are jumping in to lend a hand are many, and many of them are represented here. That's a good thing. There are tremendous resources being deployed, and businesses are being asked to contribute to the effort through support of many of these organizations. We have to all drive a collaborative effort, and we were talking about that earlier, for maximum effect. In Northeast Ohio alone, there are many organizations that are driving programs or studying the issue. At the end of the day, the employer needs to self-educate on what's available, which organizations can help them achieve the mission, and take action. But before action is taken, it's always a good idea to understand your customer. In this case, the people we're trying to attract. Millennials were born between 1980 and 1995. That makes them 21 to 36 years old. So some have been in the workforce, others are entering the workforce now. And they represent the fastest growing segment of the workforce, outpacing both the declining baby boomers and Gen X. Let's take a look at some of the milestones so we can understand their mindset during the lives of millennials. First of all, they're immersed in technology and uncertainty. And if you just look at what has happened, 92, the first text message sent. 99, first BlackBerry device. 2000, PayPal reaches 1 million users. 2001, the tragic events of 9/11. 2004, Facebook was founded. 2006, the first tweet. 2007, the iPhone was invented. 2007 through 9, the recession. And during that recession, they saw their parents squeezed and really in a very difficult situation. 2010, Instagram had 1 million users. 2014, and this is an interesting point as well, the debt burden of college grads started outpacing inflation. That was a significant challenge that they face, or they are facing. And 2015, the Apple Watch. So during all these things, probably the salient issue is corporate loyalty was in question as they witnessed their parents go through the recession. And that's a mindset that is really a challenge. So if you look at mindset, what is their perspective? And what's their mindset? Due to the sharp lessons learned during the deep recession, most millennials simply don't trust their employers to do the right things. If you look at the millennial mindset, A 2015 Deloitte survey of millennials' perceptions revealed that 75% of businesses were more focused on their own goals instead of society's goals. That's the perception. Millennials crave the opportunity to make their own decisions instead of having decisions made for them. 38% of millennials do not expect to stay at a job for more than 9 years. Most millennials stay at a job for less than 3 years. That is a significant challenge for employers, particularly as we talk about training and tribal knowledge. They do sense that technology is making inroads into the workplace, and lifelong jobs are no longer guaranteed. This is another important point. They tend to leave a job when they feel underappreciated or when the employer is not flexible, whereas the baby boomers tended to leave a job when they were not receiving competitive pay or could not advance. That is a significant difference in mindset. Given that mindset, how do we engage? It's not really that different. Humans crave good, solid communication, and quite frankly, good, solid communication is in short supply in most organizations, mine included. It's a challenge that we all have. You may be lulled into thinking that face-to-face communication is a thing of the past, and we just talked about the soft skills. It brings to mind a quote that I once heard that was spot on, and the quote went like this: if texting and emailing would have been invented before the telephone, people would have said, hey, forget about texting and emailing, now I can actually call somebody and talk to them. Communication never goes out of style, and face-to-face communication will never be replaced for effectiveness by electronic communication. To illustrate the point, here's a clip from the movie The Intern.
A lot of experience. How long do you think she'll be mad at me for?
I assume you talked to her, apologized, told her how much she means to you.
Well, you know.
You didn't talk to her? What'd you do, send her a tweet?
No, of course not. I texted her a billion times. She didn't answer, so then I emailed her. But it was like a nice email. It was a long one, well thought out. Subject line, I wrote, I'm sorry, with like a ton of O's. So I was like, I'm sorry. With the sad emoticon where he's crying, the side of his little cheek. I should probably actually just talk to her, huh? Obviously.
Can't imagine it would hurt.
So that's a good graphic example of the different types of communication. Millennials prefer also to know why, and this is a bit of a challenge for most employers. They question not out of disrespect, but the need for more information. Prior generations tended to take direction and implement. Instructing them was enough. This sounds tough, but if you and an organization can master communicating effectively to this group, you can win. Providing structure without micromanaging is difficult, but the rewards are great. Think of the millennial workforce in terms of a horse race. You've got a track, you've got a starting line and finish line, you've got the rails. What you don't have is you don't have a bit in the horse's mouth, you don't have a whip on the jockey. You line up, you train well, and you let the horses run. And millennials will respond to that type of management style. The other issue that comes up a lot in today's conversation is work-life balance. That's not so different than other generations. The difference is the millennials are likely to sacrifice income to achieve balance. That's a different mindset, and that's hard for us, certainly hard for me to really wrap my head around. Baby boomers talked a lot about balance, but didn't act on it. And most millennials grew up in households with a parent or parents talking about balance, but never working to achieve it. This has led to the mindset among millennials to value flexibility in the workplace. 66% of millennials would like flex hours. They feel that productivity should not be measured by the amount of hours spent at the office, but by what a person actually does and achieves. They also put a very high value on leaders that care about people. And they can sense whether leaders care about people and are driving the business to grow people. Culture is also key. The culture of a company is as much a benefit in the minds of millennials, this is very interesting as well, as health insurance or other benefits were to previous generations. They expect transparency, and they've grown up as part of the celebration of individuality. We've all heard of participation trophies. This generation has grown up with that. They value the ability to provide input and be heard. The millennials are interested in impacting the world and value a company that strives for a positive impact as well. So companies that are involved in organizations like this, the employees will know that you're involved, will know that you're trying to drive the right metrics and the right things for the community, and it matters. And a workplace environment that is inviting is important. And again, this is tough because it's very hard in this metric-driven world, it's very hard to connect how an exercise facility, as an example, or an exercise room in your facility is going to drive productivity. But the mindset of the millennials is those things do matter, and they will drive productivity if you respond. At the end of the day, understanding the millennials is critical, and building your own workforce is an investment that's got to be supported from the top of the organization. It requires commitment to do things that you may have trouble connecting to the success of the business or leading to an order from a customer. So in my world, at Wooster Hydrostatics and Fluid Power Solutions, growing our own means things like hiring prior to need. And again, in this metric-driven business climate that we've been in the last decade, it's very difficult to do that. Kurt talked about the apprentice program. He's absolutely on. We do the same thing. Training through mentoring. Passing along tribal knowledge is key. And partnering with senior employees, really treating young employees like apprentices, like they used to do in Europe, like we used to do in the United States. These are all very important concepts, and it is an investment, because you may not have an immediate need for a person, but if you can find a good person coming out of the Career Center, you need to hire them. Create a mission culture. Why are we in business? Why is your business in business? And talk about it. Things like philanthropy, giving back to the community. Quite frankly, employees want to be involved with companies that do these things. And if you're involved in the community, participating in days like today, it does matter. The opportunity to work in various areas of the business. This age group also, and I know that the age group following them, the younger children, have the same feeling. They really want a self-directing career path. And we can provide them that if we bring them in early, train them, and really understand where their objectives are at. The most important thing that I can say is celebrate your local Career Center. For far too long, the Career Center has been looked upon as a secondary track with emphasis placed on the 4-year degree in college prep. There's no doubt that both are important, and in many cases, the Career Center is a better choice. It should be celebrated as a smart move for students. A quote from Mike Rowe, you may have seen him on TV in Dirty Jobs, sums it up. The majority of jobs available today do not require a 4-year degree. They require training. Many of these jobs offer a salary that can grow faster than vocations that require massive student loans. Yet millions of students are systematically discouraged by parents and guidance counselors from pursuing these opportunities. Celebrate the Career Centers as a feeder system for industry, and we all benefit from that. So thank you, and good luck in building your own.